Okay, today is February 4th, and I'm doing a damage report on our tropical fruit trees. After 3 freezes this year that we've had, I'm assuming there isn't going to be any more, hopefully. 3 freezes is quite a bit for us, especially the level of these freezes that we had. Just a little bit of context, the first freeze was about 8 hours long, and we had a low of 29 degrees that night. That 29 degrees lasted for about 2 hours, and we had quite a bit of frost. The second freeze, it was probably more like 4 or 5 hours of a freeze with a low of 27, but that low of 27 was a very, very brief. I mean, all in the span of 30 minutes, or actually in the span of an hour, we went from 30 to 27 and back up to 32. So it was very quick. So that 27 is kind of deceptive as far as the significance of it. And that night was supposed to be the worst part of the freeze, but it ended up being the easiest. And then the third night was about an 8-hour freeze with a low of 29. Not quite as bad as the first one, but worse than the second one. As a matter of fact, we're looking here at the jackfruit tree, and I didn't do any protecting for this tree, and you can see it looks pretty bad. It wasn't too terribly bad after the first freeze, and hard to say on the second one. The second and the third one were back-to-back nights, but this week, this tree has progressively gotten worse, and you can see the fried foliage everywhere. But there is some good in there still. But the tree overall is definitely beat up. But realistically, I don't know, it actually did a little bit better than I thought it would through all of those freezes. Next year, I decided that I'm going to do overhead sprinkler irrigation for frost and freeze protection on all of these tropical trees. So we'll see how things go next year, because I expect that to do really, really well in helping out. Starfruit tree, I really haven't. I guess maybe there's a little bit of, yeah, that looks like some frost damage on the starfruit tree. It does have a little bit. There's still quite a bit of fruit on here too right now. Actually a lot of fruit. Even though we've been pulling it off left and right. But yeah, there's a little bit of damage on the starfruit tree. But not too significant. It's pretty minor, very minor. The starfruit tree. One tree that really surprised me was this Barbados Cherry, the acerola. I haven't hardly seen any. There's definitely some, whoops. There's obviously some damage here and there, and I've seen some leaves missing, but this tree, really, or big bush, it really held up very well in these freezes without any protection. And you see I got a smudge pot sitting right here. But I did not end up using it. We were supposed to on that one night, but it didn't end up being too bad, so we didn't end up using it. This is the green sapote tree, and it this week started showing some signs of some leaf damage, especially up here in the upper part of the canopy. I'm sure the tree will recover from that. The inner part of the tree is pretty good, but that didn't have any protection. Hopefully this fruit will still make it to maturity, which shouldn't be too far from now. Yeah, let's see. Definitely some beat up on the green sapote. Another smudge pot didn't end up using. There's another smudge pot back there that I didn't end up using. And the Alano Sapadilla did pretty good. It definitely got some singe areas here. And especially radiating, this is probably the worst area of the tree. It sticks out a little bit farther out here into the open. But in there where most of the fruit is, it seems to be okay. And there's quite a bit of fruit on this tree too. So I was hoping not to lose it. It does have a little bit of an overhead canopy up there for protection, except for right about where this is. This is sticking out where there's no overhead on it. So yeah, you can see all the fruit in there. There's a lot of sapodilla fruit in this tree. The macadamia is putting out flowers. Quickly go by that because there's not any damage on that tree. That tree's macadamias are pretty tough, and that's a pretty big tree too, so it's handling it. The Maycock sapodilla, it's out here in the open, so it got hit quite a bit more than the other ones. I can see a lot of browning on these. I'd imagine these fruits might have, yeah, it seems to be okay. But most of the leaves on this, or quite a bit of the leaves on this tree, definitely got hit in the 3 freezes. Over here, the seedling from a Dream Adamoya was, or Dream Monona, was covered and protected for the most part, and the leaves look terrible on that because they just always do in the wintertime. So this tree really was not too much impacted by the actual freezes. The white sapote over there was pretty good too. Didn't really have to worry about that, so didn't do nothing there. The sugarloaf mango, I had that covered. So this was perfectly fine. Got through that. So now we'll go over to this. Oh wait, I forgot to show these bananas. Of course, they're all fried, as expected. No big deal. That's just what happens. Go down here to the mangoes, the lychee, avocados. Okay, as you can see, the bananas are fried. There's cover crop on the garden area. The bacon avocado is pretty much, for the most part, okay. I did see, I think there is some leaf burn right out here. This part that's sticking way out over here. Definitely got some singe. The bacon avocado is probably definitely the least hardy out of the avocados we have here. But it's flowering. It seems like it's going to be doing perfectly fine. Red sugar apple, purple sugar apple seedling was covered and safe. Oh, let's see if I can do the Kiat mango. Definitely a fair amount of brownage on this. There's some good leaves too, but this tree is going to get pruned back. I need to kind of reshape it. So this is going to get pruned back here shortly. Yeah. Very brown. Yep, this one definitely got beat up a bit. The Kent, this part looks all pretty decent. It's got some brown in it, but it's because it's underneath more of its canopy. Obviously, all the flowers are fried on it. And you see up top, brown. And over here, the Glen, it did the best. You see there's quite a bit of green. Of course, this is the most thickly dense tree, branching leaves-wise, that we have. So it did the best. in the freezes. Now we did have the burn barrels out here the one night, the night that was the least worst. But it was supposed to, that night was supposed to be the worst, so that's why we had the burn barrels out. We got started because we did get a significant freeze started that night, but then a warm-up came over the property, and it lasted for quite a bit of the night. And so it really wasn't that bad of a night. We didn't even need the burn barrels on this tree. But nevertheless, it happened. So we definitely got some brown, especially up there in the top. All the flowers are definitely burnt. We're trying to irrigate this heavily right now to get some energy to the tree and see if we can get a rebloom on it. Mangoes a lot of times will rebloom. You see south side of the tree. It's not really too terribly bad. Just up there at the top. There's a look at the Kent from this angle too. You can see again brown on the top. That tree, the Kent's going to get a pruning as well. The winter winter Mexican avocado. Ooh, I just hit my head on this avocado going through here. Did perfectly fine through the freeze, which I expected it to. We've been getting out here and getting these avocados, but they hang on through all winter, all the way to April. And the day avocado flowering right now. Some of those flowers, I think, to me, the brownish, I don't think that brown is good. I think some of these flowers got a bit tinged from the cold on this one. And the coconut cream, definitely, you can see inside there, it doesn't look too bad. But out here on the top, as usual, definitely got hit a bit. And of course, no issue with the peaches. The Mauritius Lychee, you can see the old leaves. No, I'm sorry, these are brand new flush leaves right there. Very tender, those got burnt. The flowers all pretty much kind of got toasted quite a bit. We're hoping maybe get a rebloom on this. The tree looks fine for the most part. I don't know if it looks like there might be a little bit of frost color damage in here in the middle of these leaves. Out here. On them, but for the most part, the lychees are fine. Just as I said, the new growth. The Sweetheart has some new growth. The Sweetheart looks like it might be a little bit tougher than the Mauritius. Some of its flowers look like they might be surviving up there. But there's definitely some that you can see when they have that little, it's burnt. But yeah, the Sweetheart Lychee looks like it is going to be fine. Hopefully we'll get more of a rebloom on this too. And so that's the end over here. We'll go check out the front of the property now. It's only a few things up there. Yeah, definitely some singed on the pineapples, which I'd imagine we'll probably look down there. I don't see any flowers yet. The passion fruit vines all got pretty much, the passion fruit vines all got pretty much toasted. We'll see if they come back. Three freezes is a lot to handle for some of this stuff. We had the tomato plants, we had the tomato plants covered up, so they did pretty good through the freezes. Tarps are laying out here just in case we get any more. I didn't want to have to put them all away. course, loquats are perfectly fine. The Indian Jujubee, we got fruit off from this for the first time this year. It's really good. Everybody really liked it. It was quite a bit small. We didn't get nearly enough of it picked because the freeze came in and kind of took out the fruit, the rest of it. But we did get a fair amount beforehand. Definitely some frost damage on some of these leaves and stuff, but that's fine. It's about time to prune this tree back heavily so it can grow an awful lot in 1 year, and it will rebloom in the fall. But we were happy with this Thai giant Indian Jujubee fruit. If I had watered it, the fruit would have gotten a lot bigger on it, but I didn't have any water out here until just recently. It was a little bit too late. So, but yeah, this tree handled the freezes better than I thought it was going to. Sorry about all the jerkiness. Bananas. Purple glory tree, not so glorious anymore. I do see some somewhat live leaves. Of course, I just pulled that off easily. We'll see if it comes back. Pakistani mulberry tree. It was leafing out everywhere because we had such warm December, first part of January. It was thinking it was spring and it got deceived. All the leaves got fried on this mulberry tree. It needs to be pruned back anyhow. I'm going to do that real soon. And this mulberry lost all of its leaves too. And then the Jaboticabas. They were kind of a surprise to me. This red Jaboticaba took a bit more of a hit than I expected. I expected these trees to be able to handle the conditions, but maybe, I don't know, microclimate over here. I'll have to get some temperature sensors out here in this area because it might be colder. There was areas around in our particular area that were as low, within 15, 20 minutes from here, were as low as 23, 24 degrees. I saw 25s, 26s, 27s, 28s for long durations. So it's possible it might have gotten much colder over here in this part of the property than I realized. Obviously there's still good health in the tree, and I'm sure it will just start reflushing here soon and it will be fine. And then the Sabara, typical Jaboticaba, it also is a bit beat up, more than I expected it would in this cold. So maybe these temperatures definitely got a bit worse than I expected. But they're still, the tree's gonna be fine. We'll see if we get any fruit on this tree this year. I don't know how that freeze might affect it, but so that's the end of this tour. Looks like everything's going to survive, and that's good. So, but next year I expect I'm going to have set up overhead irrigation for all of this stuff to deal with these frosts and freezes. No more having to mess with burn barrels and too much work. I've already got the pond pump and it can pump a lot of water. So I think I can get it set up and get stuff run over here and run overhead irrigation on everything. So probably get it all set up next year and we won't have any freezes to test it out, which is fine by me. But anyhow, we'll hopefully be ready for it next year on all of these trees. All right, have a good day. God bless.